Welcome back, persistent hikers, to Glimpses of our California parks. Today we will visit the Shasta Cascade region of our California parks, encompassing 22 of over 400 diverse public, state, and federal parks and their related units located within our Golden State. Klamath Basin National Wildlife Refuge is a 193,000-acre freshwater marsh, open grassland, and cropland managed to provide feeding, resting, and nesting for western waterfowl. A public accessible park maintained by the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. Located within Siskiyou County in northeastern California, south of the city of Tule Lake, this park complex was established in 1908 to protect the Pacific Flyway Corridor for migratory birds and waterfowl, and the remaining wetlands. Klamath Basin is made up of 6 National Wildlife Refuge: Upper Klamath Lake, Lower Klamath Lake, Tule Lake, Klamath Marsh, Bear Valley, and Clear Lake. This park video will examine 3 sections of the Klamath Basin complex: the Discovery Marsh area, the Lower Klamath Lake Refuge, and the Tule Lake Refuge. The persistent hiker documented these park units in the month of October 2024 and hopes this short video and informative commentary will entice you and yours to come visit the scenic, geological, recreational, historical refuge units in the near future. The images you have just been viewing were all taken along the Discovery Marsh Trail just outside the Visitor Center at the Klamath Basin National Wildlife Refuge Complex. The 1-mile loop Discovery Marsh Trail consists of a level crushed rock walkway that takes you around the marsh area. This is a 5-star easy trail, perfect for those of us with walking mobility issues. Don't forget to thank the staff. The more we leave our positive reviews, the more of these they will construct. The Discovery Marsh consists of wet meadows with some open water wetlands. It is known that the Klamath and Modoc tribes maintain dense settlements all along the shores of the Klamath Basin. During the peak of winter migration, there can be many visiting waterfowl found here. The Discovery Marsh Trail contains 2 photographic blinds. Sit real quiet, and just maybe you'll get that perfect waterfowl image. Besides the waterfowl, mammals frequent the scrub and woodland areas. If you're lucky, you might spot a mule deer, a coyote, a badger, a beaver, or even a muskrat. The Klamath Marsh includes a water canoe trail, but unfortunately I got there too late to try it out. There is also a CCC trail that was made in 1936, takes you to the top of a ridge behind the visitor center above the parking lot. As you leave the visitor center heading towards Tule Lake, you will spot an observation post along the road. It's worth checking out. Don't forget to check out the visitor center. It's got lots of maps and brochures and guides. Recreational opportunities for the public include wildlife viewing, photography, and waterway education. Once we leave the visitor center, we travel south on Hill Road for about 4 miles, looking for the Tule Lake Auto Tour turnoff. While traveling the short 4-mile distance, we pass the large open marsh views of Tule Lake on one side while paralleling the lava ridges on the other. Just before reaching the auto tour turnoff, we visit the Finley Overlook. Stop here to get some nice panoramic views of Tule Lake Marsh from a slightly elevated position. William Finley was an early conservationist who persuaded President Theodore Roosevelt to set aside the first national wildlife refuge west of the Mississippi River. There is a wildlife refuge in Oregon named after him. Across Hill Road to our right is a small wildlife observation blind. The path to it had a rubber mat walkway, an easy walk but overgrown with weeds. There's always some thoughtless visitor who can't quite make it back to a trash can. The wooden observation blind was well worth the short walk. The blind offers the viewer multiple level openings to observe close-by waterfowl in the area. Unfortunately, my iPhone doesn't have telephoto capabilities, but the scenery and images I got give you a good overview of the area. This is one of the best areas to view the open marsh waters of Tule Lake, and the observation blind gets you close to the waterfowl action. Diverse wild ducks feeding inside the refuge, paying us no mind. Looking back at the Finley Overlook and the Lava Ridge. Next stop, the Tule Lake Auto Tour Route. The flat 9.6-mile gravel-topped roadway runs adjacent to the Tule Lake Refuge Marsh area, parallel to the nearby croplands. The Fish and Game Department did a great job on this roadway, allowing us time to observe waterfowl and wildlife right from our vehicle. One can get great backdrop views of Mount Shasta while driving the refuge road. We pulled off at a wildlife observation point along the tour road. Here, we found an overgrown dirt trail that led to an open observation shack at the edge of the marsh. Take your time and watch your step. With the observation building in sight at all times, you won't get lost. Stay to the left to pick up the correct trail. There are no markings. Although the dirt path isn't the most ideal trail, it's doable and has little elevation gain. Because the original trail bridge over the marsh was destroyed in a fire, you have to travel around the embankment to reach the observation structure. The observation building was in good condition, and the views were well worth the short hike. Because this is one of the few areas where you can observe the Tule Lake Marsh area up close, I suggest you take your time to make the hike. Just watch your footing along the embankment area. Although I didn't see many ducks and geese here, this marsh view was well worth the hike. Tule Lake is only a fraction of its original historic levels. Leave it to greedy human expansion to destroy nature's natural wonders. Let us thank our government agencies for having the foresight to try and save a piece of it, for the wild animals who depend on it, and for those of us who wish to observe it. A special thanks for our Fish and Wildlife Department for their ongoing conservation efforts to save what remains of this natural waterway for the wild waterfowl that uses our western flyway. Along the auto tour route, we got to view thousands of ducks and geese using the marshland to feed and rest during their annual migration. While watching these majestic waterfowl, I will mention the other non-accessible unit of the Klamath Basin Wildlife Refuge. First, there's Upper Klamath National Wildlife Refuge, located in Oregon, 15,000 acres, established in 1928, and used as a refuge and breeding ground for birds and wild animals. Second, there is the Bear Valley Unit, 4,000 acres, established in 1978, located in Oregon to protect a vital roosting site for wintering bald eagles. It remains closed to the public. The third remote unit is Clear Lake, 46,500 acres, established in 1911, is composed of Clear Lake Reservoir and surrounding uplands, and functions primarily as a winter storage facility. It is located in California, but closed to the public. The fourth unit is the Klamath Marsh, located in Oregon, 41,000 acres, established in 1958, consists of wet meadows with some open water wetlands. Thousands of wild Canadian migratory geese use the Tule Lake Refuge as a feeding and resting area before continuing on their 3,000-mile journey south for the winter. If you're visiting the Lava Beds National Monument, there are 2 wildlife overlooks for you to visit. While visiting the western overlook, we spotted a herd of mule deer wandering the open grasslands. It's nice to view wildlife in their natural habitats. Speaking of wild animals on grassy uplands, here at Lower Klamath National Wildlife Refuge, 47,000 acres, established in 1908, we spot a herd of wild pronghorn antelope grazing the grassy uplands of Lower Klamath Refuge. Pronghorns have horns that are crossed between antlers and horns, with a bony core covered by a keratin sheath that sheds annually. The horns split to form forward-pointing prongs, giving the species its name. Pronghorns are the fastest land animal in North America and the second fastest in the world after cheetahs. Lower Klamath Refuge contains shallow freshwater marshes, open waters, waterfowl croplands, and grassy uplands. It was established in 1908 to protect the flora and fauna habitat, protection of migrating waterfowl, and preserving the biodiversity of the Klamath Basin. The refuge provides wildlife and related public services, wildlife education, photography, and viewing opportunities. Many avian species are found at this refuge, to include the bald eagle and golden eagle. The conservation and management of this refuge includes maintenance of a local water infrastructure and monitoring of the interaction between agriculture and wildlife habitat. There is a 10-mile gravel auto tour road off Highway 161 that takes one into the interior of the refuge. Unfortunately for us, it was closed for construction during our visit. I'm sure it's a nice adventure, similar to the Tule Lake auto tour route. The wooden observation platform was built over the edge of the marshland. Unfortunately, there wasn't much water, so the wildlife viewing was sparse at best. The deck contains some faded but relative informational signage related to the floodplain habitat. At least I got an elevated view of the vegetation and grassland found inside the refuge. Lots of marsh colors, greens, browns, and tans. The park placard was a little hard to read. Guess the birds liked it too. After a few final distant views, we were off again down 161 to another overlook pullout. Here, right off the 161 road, we find multiple colored interpretive signage depicting birds found inside the refuge. The multiple plaques were both educational and informative. Here we can witness the water channels that encase the grasslands. A little further down the road, we began seeing our first signs of the lower Klamath Lake water marsh area and waterfowl. There aren't any real pullouts in this section, so you have to just pull off the roadway wherever it's safe to do so. Not sure why there's not more pullouts, seeing as this is one of the more scenic areas inside the refuge. Oh well, I made do and got some nice images by one of the water project's floodgate entrance roads. The lower Klamath Refuge is made up of a large lake surrounded by sagebrush, grassland, and juniper trees. There are numerous small islands with nesting colonies of waterfowl and other migratory birds. Lower Klamath Lake is a shallow lake that was once connected to Upper Klamath Lake. It's now used to store overflow water for irrigation and supply water for the Lower Klamath National Wildlife Refuge. The roadway images I took along the marsh area give you some idea of the natural beauty of this waterfowl refuge. Maybe on my next visit, I'll get a chance to travel the Lower Klamath Auto Tour. Although I can't believe it will be much nicer than the images I got while traveling Highway 161. The cattails bid us a fond farewell, and the waterfowl of Klamath Marsh a safe journey. As we leave the Lower Klamath Marsh area, we take a few images of the majestic Mount Shasta overlooking the entire Klamath Basin National Wildlife Refuge. I wish to acknowledge my usage of the informative park guides and brochures, along with the on-site park rangers and docents who helped me to gather information needed for this Glimpses presentation. I turn to Encyclopedia Britannica, Wikipedia, and Dictionary.com as my go-to sources for any additional in-depth information I needed. Don't forget to click the subscribe button to catch the latest park units we visited, along with special trails we've taken. Hope you enjoyed this park adventure. Take the time to visit our sponsors and become a monthly donor, assisting us in documenting each of our diverse federal and state California parks. By becoming a member of the Persistent Hikers and wearing our Glimpses patch, you are informing the young generation that we seniors still have the capability, although limited, to enjoy our parks just as much as they can. Until our next California park adventure, happy trails.